viewers, and thank you once again for joining us on the Charlotte County Libraries and History virtual programming. My name is Jennifer Zoebelein, and I am joined today by our archivist, Sam Alexander, and we are doing our first ever video tour of the archives. And we're very excited about this. We have two archival facilities, and today we are at the Punta Gorda Charlotte Library archive facilities. So Sam, tell us, what is an archive?
Well, Jennifer, it depends on what definition you're using. If you go onto a newspaper website and you want to find some of their old issues, they'll refer to that as their archives, which would be a definition of a physical or digital collection of records. But when we're talking about archives like the Charlotte County Archives, it refers to a conceptual construction of a storehouse that keeps recorded knowledge with oversized social and political significance, which dictates, or rather generally manages, meaning and discourse, while also serving as a stimulicum for truth and fact.
Wonderful. So what exactly does an archive collect?
Well, an archive collects records with enduring value, such as letters, reports, accounts, minute books, the rough and final drafts of manuscripts and photographs, and they're of people, businesses, governments, and other organizations. And enduring value means they're important, but importance isn't inherently a record being old or a record being the result of people in high social rankings engaging in great affairs.
And how do archives go about collecting these various materials?
Archives collect these materials through outreach programs that lead to potential donors making contact with archives to see if their donations would be within the scope of materials that archives collect, through acquiring records through the larger organizations that the archives is a part of, and in other circumstances at other archives, some of them acquire them through dealers.
So now, Charlotte County has two separate archives facilities. We are in one of them today at Punta Gorda Charlotte Library, and the other one, which we'll be recording separately, is at the Englewood Charlotte Library. With that being said, since these archives are located inside libraries, does that mean that archives and libraries are interchangeable, that people should see them in the same way?
There is overlap between libraries and archives. However, a good comparison would be with bananas and plantains. They look alike, but if you bite into them, you'll notice an immediate difference. Libraries focus on published materials such as books, DVDs, digital content, whereas archives focus on both published and unpublished materials. Additionally, the mindset between an archivist and a librarian is different. Whereas a librarian can be openly passionate about the books in their libraries, archivists need to make sure to keep not an apathetic mindset, but one that avoids becoming passionate about what's in their archives. They can't become a student. It's a focus on preservation.
Good, I think this is important, and I think this is something that our viewers will find very interesting, because I think there is this common misperception among the general public that, oh, libraries, archives, same thing, they collect things, and we can view those materials. So I think that this is a really important clarification for all of those of you that are joining us today. So Sam, today we are standing inside the reading room here at the Punta Gorda Archives. Why is this reading room here? Why is it that this reading room is not inside the archival space? So, and in another way, why is it that visitors to our archives, to the library, can only come in this space and not access the spaces beyond?
Well, as mentioned, with the kinds of materials archives collect, they're both unpublished and published. And with unpublished materials, if people can come in and out, they may just look at it out of curiosity. And curiosity's a fine thing. But with unpublished materials, when they see wear and tear, they can't be replaced. A popular book at a library, you can replace that, but a personal journal that contains a lot of interesting information, that can't be replaced. You can digitize it, you can extract the information from it, but that doesn't guarantee that the entirety of the enduring historical information of the journal will be preserved through those means of digitization or information extraction. So it's important to preserve those materials through policies that manage access. That way, wear and tear is kept to a minimum, and the number of people who are able to access the materials is able to be maximized.
Good. I think this is great for folks to know, because we want everyone out there to know this reading room is completely accessible. We have local history in here, we have exhibits, as you can see behind Sam and I, and this is where we want the public to come. And Sam will address how the public can actually come here and do research in a moment, but I do want everyone to understand that this reading room is for everyone, even if you may not be coming here to do research, but we do encourage you to check out the local history that's in here. So Sam and viewers, we are going to have some footage that is going to be added, and you will see that throughout the course of this video, of these storage areas. But for right now, Sam, tell us, how is it that records are stored? How is it that the materials are arranged in archives generally, but then also here specifically?
Well, going back to the difference between libraries and archives, there's another one. Libraries have systems such as Dewey Decimal, they have MARC records, those kind of organization tools. With archives, arrangement tries to focus on provenance, which is the original order of the document. There's a saying in French of les respect des fonds, if I'm saying it correct, pardon my French, which is about respecting the original order. So when arranging in archives, it's important that the documents are kept together as they were originally intended. For example, let's say we have an organization and then a sub-organization, and then that sub-organization has different kinds of records. We would want to keep the minutes of the sub-organization together and not mix them with either the other records of the sub-organization or with the other minutes belonging to other sub-organizations in the larger organization. It's important to maintain this hierarchical order as it shows what things were intended for in their original use, while also hopefully managing access without becoming too confusing, as that's a constant struggle in archives ever since the French Revolution, where modern archives really started. it's been a discussion of arrangement versus accessibility, and it's still ongoing. But for now, the example I gave is what we're currently using here at the Charlotte County Archives. And we may change or adapt as needed, but for now we want to make sure that things are in their original orders while still being accessible.
And this is very important for when someone would come and do research, because you, as the archivist, needs to be able to access that material quickly, efficiently, and bring it out. So viewers, a little while ago we talked about how this reading room here at the Punta Gorda Charlotte Library is the only accessible area of the archives. Sam, tell us how, if someone were to make an appointment and request to do research, how would that process unfold here?
Well, it would involve getting in contact with History Services and explaining what exactly it is as a researcher they're interested in, as if it's just a small task of wanting to look up one image or so, just like less than an hour's worth of work. I would be more than happy to do that for anyone interested. However, when it's a research request that takes over an hour, we can work out a planned date where the interested researcher may be able to come to the reading room. It should be noted that this will depend on factors such as the stability of the materials the researcher is interested in, what degree the materials have been arranged and processed and described, staff availability, as I may not be available, and when using archival materials for research, it's important that researchers are monitored just due to professional standards, and also to make sure accidents such as putting pages in the wrong order doesn't occur, alongside discouraging the use of pens which have acidic ink that can damage documents, and also keeping away other damaging materials such as food and water, and drinks in general.
And viewers, I think it's important to highlight that what Sam is talking about here, the practices, the level of detail regarding the way in which material is stored, the method by which people come in to do research. Sam is doing all of this in accordance with standards that have been laid out by national and state organizations. Things like the Society for American Archivists, for example, which Sam is a member. And so we don't want anyone to think that this is just Charlotte County making it up as we go. This is Sam as a professional archivist, as someone who has been trained in this field, who is setting the standards in accordance with how archival practices are being done across the state and across the country, from things as small as here in Charlotte County all the way up to the National Archives and Library of Congress. Now, Sam, there are materials outside of the archives that are available for the public. We have the Punta Gorda Herald is on microfilm, which is currently available for public use at Mid-County Regional Library. We are also in the future going to have an online collection where people can view photographs from the collection. Will you just talk just a little bit about that for us today?
Yes. Currently, we're working on the process of having the historical online collection photographs be available through the library catalog on the Charlotte County Library website. This process should be implemented at the latest by mid-December, and we hope that interested patrons find it useful. Additionally, going forward, we will carry out additional digitization projects that will be added to the catalog, alongside starting the implementation of finding aids, which, for a quick example of what a finding aid is, think about all the various restaurants on Tamiami Trail. Now, imagine each restaurant represents a collection in our archives. Now, some restaurants' titles let you know what kind of food they have, and some collection titles let you know what those collections are composed of. A finding aid is like having the menu for a restaurant. So by having finding aids, patrons will be able to find what collections are comprised of in terms of subjects, what kind of organization structures are included, and other relevant metadata.
So we have a lot of exciting things coming, and of course this is perfect timing because of Charlotte County Centennial next year, and so just wonderful things coming out of the archives. Sam, any final thoughts about what people should know about archives, why they should care about these archives, anything else that folks should know?
Archives serve as a community's memory storage, and memories are a fragile thing, but they are very important to us. And that may sound sentimental, but on a more practical level, the resources provided by archives can be used not only for recreational fun, but for serious scholarly research alongside even legal matters. So the uses of archives can always be a surprise. Even to archivists, we're finding new things out in terms of how people use them every day.
Well, thank you so much, Sam, and thank you viewers for joining us once again. We hope you will tune in to the second part of our video tour of the Charlotte County Archives when we are over at the Inglewood Charlotte County Library. Hope to see you then. Thank you.